Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to my channel, The Value Creation Playbook. Today, in episode 36, we talk of one area which plagues a lot of transformation, big or small, large scale global enterprise transformation. I'm talking of what should be the sequence for transformation. And why am I saying this as this is something that is important? Because most of the transformation projects that I see that is failing is not because of the ideas are wrong or because the leaders don't care or don't invest time or money or a mix of both. They fail because too much is getting attempted at the same given time. I have seen well-funded, well-intentioned transformation collapse simply because sequencing was ignored. The belief is that urgency requires parallel action. In reality, urgency without sequences create chaos. This episode is about why doing everything at once almost always backfires, especially in environments where focus and timing are everything. And I'm talking not only of growing organizations, I'm talking of large enterprise models also. So the idea, the concepts can be applied equally if you are starting, if you are growing, or if you are a big enterprise by itself as of now. There's a very common pattern I see, particularly in the first 12 to 18 months of the transformation journey or a PE hold. New ownership comes in, expectations are high, so leaders decide to tackle technology, org structure, KPIs, process redesign, and cost programs all at once. It feels bold, it feels decisive, but it's usually driven by anxiety, not logic. And anxiety is a terrible architect of transformation. Doing everything at once creates visible activity, definitely for sure. Dashboards light up in different shades of red, amber, green. Milestone multiply, your PMO teams are happy. Governance calendars fill up. The leadership's busy as crazy guys. And for a while, it feels like control. But activity is not momentum, especially in today's environment where buyers and boards are far more skeptical. Visible effort without results get exposed very quickly. So what's actually happening when sequencing is getting ignored? I call it's a drag that gets created. I call it execution drag, and that's a very expensive item to consume your efforts, your money, and your entire strategy outlook. Teams get overloaded, dependencies clash, decisions slow down because trade offs were never made upfront. Leaders spend more time firefighting than leading. Ironically, trying to go fast without sequencing usually makes transformation slower and far more painful. So, how do we fix this? How do we fix whatever has been going wrong? Sequencing is really about one thing: foundations before scale. Some things must exist before others can work. Decision clarity must become before operating models are really built together. Process stability must come before automation. Sometimes we do exactly the other way around. We put in robotics thinking the processes will wonderfully change tomorrow. Doesn't happen. Ownership must come before matrix. When these foundations are skipped, transformation becomes fragile, and fragile transformation don't survive scrutiny at exist. So, what should come first in any transformation? The first priority, the first few things that you need to do to ensure that your foundations are right. So, what should come first is a question every leader should ask himself and the team. In almost every successful transformation I have seen, leaders start with clarity, not tools. Clarity on what? Clarity on decision rights, clarity on ownership, clarity on what really matters for value creation. These are not exciting changes. They don't make headlines. They don't get covered in my dashboard. But without them, nothing really sticks. And this, my friends, are one of the most painful discussions, debate that the leader will get into with his team. Because for arriving at a finally lockdown decision matrix, ownership matrix takes time and takes a lot of courage to say a yes or a no. And I've seen the organizations who have said a yes or a no right on day one really flourish. And they have achieved their transformation objectives more often than not. So, what should never come first? What should almost never come first are the most visible changes: technology rollouts, org restructure, KPI overhauls, AI pilots. This thing create noise before they really create value. Especially right now when many firms are rushing into AI without fixing decision logics underneath, sequencing discipline matters more than ever. If I think of the GCCs, and in India there are tons of them, and I know there are tons of them that are getting built day in, day out. GCCs is where sequencing really matters. Why? Because GCCs amplify whatever they are given. If the mandate is unclear, they scale confusion. If the foundations are solid, they scale value. Bringing GCCs in too early, without clarity or on ownership and priorities, create execution at scale without direction. Timing matters. But at the end of the day, foundation, scale, and leverage, the three pillars that I put on the slide, is to be thought through, agreed, debated, dusted, and then finally the roles, responsibilities, decision making rights have to be out there for everybody to see, appreciate, and follow. Now, I have seen organizations recover from the sequencing era, and there are multiple stories to that. I'll cover that in my subsequent videos, but only after hitting a pause, and those pauses are expensive. They stop non-critical initiatives, reset priorities, clarify ownership, and then they restart deliberately. Recovery is definitely possible, but it always costs more time and credibility than sequencing correctly upfront. In any environment, whether it's P or non-P environment, that recovery time directly hits return. So the discipline of saying not yet is one of the key foundation elements of a leadership uh, angle. So transformation isn't slow when it's sequenced properly. It's faster, safer, and far more likely to create value. The hardest decision leaders make is often saying not yet. But that discipline is what separates transformations that compound value from those that quietly stall. So, what are the key takeaways? First and foremost, ambition without sequence destroys value. Foundations are everything. Always remember that takes a lot of courage and decision making authority to make that foundations right. GCCs magnify choices. GCCs are the power centers. So all the good things that come in gets magnified, does well to the organization. Anything does otherwise. Recovery, not all go as planned. Absolutely, Absolutely true, and that's a reality. Recovery is possible but costly. Let's try to avoid that to the last resort. If nothing can happen, if there's no other way, let's do a recovery plan. And I would always say that the discipline separates success from the rest, uh, success from the reset that we don't really want to do. But that's reality. Thank you. So that brings me to the end of today's session. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Keep your comments and thoughts flowing. And the next episodes will again start uncovering more real life examples and more bit sized recommendations that you can easily use for your day to day business. And for anything else, do reach out to me via my email or the website rodemiconsulting.com. Thank you so much for being a part of Journey. Till next time, take care, stay safe. Goodbye.